The focus of today's lesson is to review many of the ELA standards you learned throughout the school year. Interjections. Interjections are words that express strong or mild emotions or feelings. Examples include aha, ouch, oops, wow, yay, yikes, yuck, drat, and hooray. Use a comma after a mild interjection. For example, oh, I see what you mean, or hey, you stepped on my shoe. You would use an exclamation point after an interjection that expresses a strong feeling or emotion. For example, yikes, there's a spider on your head, or ouch, you stabbed me with your pencil. Prepositions. Prepositions are words that show the relationship of a noun or a pronoun with another word in the sentence. Prepositions indicate time, direction, location, position, and possession. Here is an example of a preposition showing time. Matthew lost his hat during the basketball game. During tells us when Matthew lost the hat. Here's an example of a preposition showing direction. Once it started raining, Mia ran toward the porch. Toward tells us in which direction Mia ran. Here's an example of a preposition showing location. The boys hid behind the tree while playing hide and seek. Behind tells us the location of the boys behind the tree. Here's an example of a preposition showing possession. The candy is for Mrs. Williams' class. For tells us that the candy is owned by Mrs. Williams' class. Commas in a series. Use commas to separate 3 or more items in a series or list. Put a comma after each item in the list except for the last one. Before the last word in the list, you should add a conjunction to indicate it is the last word in the series. Usually we would use or, and. Example 1. John ate pretzels, popcorn, chocolate, and candy at the birthday party. Example 2. The children were told to eat, to do their homework, to brush their teeth, and to go to bed. Commas and introductory phrases. When a sentence starts with a group of words that cannot stand alone or a dependent clause, a comma is needed to separate it from the rest of the sentence. The beginning phrase depends on the rest of the sentence in order to make sense. Example 1. Even though I forgot to take out the trash, my mom let me go to the party. If I were speaking with you and I said, even though I forgot to take out the trash, and I stopped speaking, you would be waiting on me to continue the thought because that phrase by itself just does not make sense. It is a dependent clause. It depends on the rest of the sentence to make sense. Example 2. After getting stung by a bee, I ran inside the house. Again, if I looked at you and just said, after getting stung by a bee, you would be waiting for me to conclude that thought. Context clues. Context clues are hints and clues that readers use to find the meaning of unknown words. Authors might provide explanation clues, the definition, or synonyms to help you figure out the meaning of words. Example 1. A cacophony, a mixture of harsh sounds, surrounded the group of people standing on the city sidewalk. In this example, the author gives you the definition of cacophony, a mixture of harsh sounds, immediately after using the word. Example 2. As the cacophony came through the phone line, he pulled it away from his ear to lessen some of the blaring racket. In this case, the author is giving you a synonym, blaring racket, to indicate that a cacophony is a mixture of harsh sounds. Simile or a metaphor. A simile is a comparison of two unlike things using the words like or as. Example 1. The surface of the water looked as smooth as glass. Example 2. The baby's eyes twinkle like stars in the sky. A metaphor is a direct comparison of two things, often stating that one thing is another. Example 1, she is a bear when she wakes up in the morning. Example 2, the small boat was a ping pong ball bouncing against the waves. In all of those examples, we are comparing two unlike things, just in two different ways. Main idea or theme. Main idea. The main idea of a story tells what the story is mostly about. It is a one-sentence summary including the main character's name and what happened in the story. Theme. The theme of a story is the moral. It is the message or the life lesson the author wants you to learn from the story. Theme is bigger than one character. It is a lesson the author is trying to teach in general about life. Let's look at an example passage. Jason's mom worked hard for what they had. His father had passed away years ago, and their tiny apartment on the third floor of the building seemed to get smaller every day. Every day that he went to school, he was jealous of the fancy new clothes other kids had and envious of the large houses they went home to each day. One night, Jace asked his mom why they were so unlucky. Why did everyone have so much more than they did? With a sad smile, Mom told him about all the things they had to be lucky for. She talked about the roof over their heads, the warm blankets that covered them at night, the food on the table, and the job that she was able to go to every day. No matter how meager, those were all things they should be thankful for, because not everyone had those. While watching television that night, an advertisement came on the television. It was an ad begging people to adopt or sponsor a child living in poverty in a third world country. These children had nothing. Some had only rags for clothing and were often hungry and malnourished. The next morning, as Jace put on the same shirt he had worn a few days ago, instead of feeling jealous of the other kids in school, he felt grateful that he had the shirt at all. Main idea or theme. Main idea. Jason was jealous of other people because he soon learned that he had a lot to be thankful for. The theme of that passage would be to be thankful for what you have. The main idea focused on the main character and was a summary of the story, whereas the theme was a larger lesson about life. That concludes today's lesson. You are going to go to Google Classroom to complete to go